各位来宾下午好。Well, welcome to the China special session for our audience. What I just said is good afternoon, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the China special session. My name is George Lin. In the next 15 minutes or 1 hour, we're going to talk about the AWS China services, and we'll also have our partners here to share with you how the partner and the AWS teams work together to win the business in China and enable our partners, enable our customers to innovate and transform their business in China. So I will talk about the advantages of AWS in China and the basic infrastructures that is available to serve our customers. And also, my speak partner from Deloitte will talk about their services, which is complementary to AWS. Last but not least, we will have our solution architect from AWS. He's based in Shanghai. He's based in Beijing and working with a lot of our partners and customers, provide the technical enablement and also the hands-on supports to our customers. So when we start, I want to do a little survey. How many people has been to China and as our customer, not including the AWS employee, our customer? So not many. When we start, I want to roll back a little bit to tell you a little bit of history of AWS in China. We start at 2015, which is a little bit behind what we have the services in US or other regions. So in 2015, we have the first provision in China, which is a pilot. And the first official launch of our region is in 2016, which is in the Beijing region. And in 2017, we have a second region available in northern China. I will talk a little bit more details about those two regions. And in 2019, we have the third region available in Hong Kong. So by that time, in China, that is the first country outside US that has 3 regions. So AWS invests a lot and quite early in that time and try to serve their customers because we see a lot of multinational accounts, multinational companies going into China and try to expand their business, or they have been there for many years already. And also we have seen that a lot of local customers, the local Chinese companies, and try to transform their business and do the innovation and try to leverage the technology from the AWS and the cloud technologies. Then I think if you pay attention to what AWS has in China, in May this year we have already announced that we are going to have the fourth region in China, which will be in Taiwan. So by next year we will have like 4 regions in China, Great China region, including the China mainland, Hong Kong, and Taipei. So those infrastructure is already there. In addition to that, we also invest another additional resources. AI ML was very popular as a research technology, as a research domain, and also as the technology that try to enable the applications. So back in 2021, we have 2020, we have the first AI ML lab set up in Shanghai, which is very close to the leading universities in Shanghai. They not only contribute a lot of papers on the AI ML space, but also help to work with the local industry and academia, which has a lot of local content and data, which helps us to enable our customers. Also, the partners. China, of course, it is a large manufacturing country, not only in the China mainland, but also in Taiwan. So we have a two IoT lab, Internet of Things lab, that set up in Shenzhen and in Taipei. Because a lot of manufacturing, especially the electronics manufacturing and healthcare life science and retail companies try to use the IoT technology to enhance their product offering. So we have two labs for IoT technologies in Taipei and Shenzhen. So that is a brief history of AWS and our footprint in China over the last 12 years. In China, it has a very special regulation which we have to comply with. So that's why we set a very unique business model in China with our partner. So the China AWS services is basically a team of work with our partner. There's two partner names here. On the left side is NWCD, on the right-hand side is the CNET. We work with the CNET to set up the Beijing region, and we work with the NWCD to set up with the North Asia region, which is in the Ningxia province. So those are two regions in the China mainland. Because this is the requirement by the local regulation. The baseline infrastructure was run by the partners, and we, AWS, provided technology, expertise, and services on top of that, and make sure that all the services is on par with the service level outside of China. So this is the map. You can see that we have two regions here. Each region has at least three availability zones. This is a standard setup in anywhere in the global regions. So it is fully compliant with the China regulations, and also separated, operated by the partners. It's more important is it's using the AWS global technology and up to the level of the global standards. So you won't feel difficulty if you want to migrate some of the solutions from the global region to China. It's all standard. In last year, 2023, we have a new VP came on board, and he has a vision of enable the global accounts, global customers, multinational companies in China to help them to do the innovation and also the digital transformation. So our vision is to accelerate the digital transformation and innovation, especially in the area of the Gen AI. So we also have Gen AI related technologies deployed in China. I will talk about that later. So our business is deeply rooted in China, but also connected globally. So that's our vision and the way that we serve our customers. So fast move forward to today's environment, we will see that support the multinational transformation and innovation in China, we basically focus on four things. One is the global technology leadership. By far, I think everybody would agree that AWS is the global leader in the cloud technology and also the Gen AI because of the new announcement of a lot of Gen AI technologies or the services in the last couple of days. I believe everybody is very excited about those technologies. And we also have the industry tech expertise in China because moving forward, more and more technologies will enable those traditional industries. And we have already built that industry aligned vertical teams that can provide the expertise from local and also connect it back to the global service team. Localization is also very important because China has kind of a unique environment by language, by history, by the compliance regulations and so on and so forth. And somehow, there's a certain, geopolitical environment that we have to deal with. So we have a local capability and local, the services is local and also is specialized to enable the local applications and meet the local customers' requirements. Last but not least, The security is job number one. We also always say, all the Amazonians say that security is the job number one. So we want to build the trustworthiness with our partners and our customers. So those are the 4 things that we build our services around. So let me elaborate a little bit about those 4 things. Global leadership, I don't think I need to spend too much time here because everybody has already heard a lot about our services, innovation in the last 2 days from our keynote speakers, our CEO and our former CEO and our technology leaders. So, needless to say that we are the technology leaders, and we also have the same leadership in China. Up to now, globally, we have 34 major regions. And in China, we're going to have 4. By far, we have 3. And totally, we have 108 availability zones. So on this map, you see all those locations. And NWCD, with NWCD, was launched in 2017. It's also on this map, and Beijing region launched with CNET in 2016. It's also on this map. So those 2 regions are part of the global network, even though it is isolated within the China mainland by working with our partners, but it's also highly connected and with other regions. So it is the part of the global infrastructure, robust, and also part of the worldwide network. The R&D innovation with cutting-edge technology, this is our commitment to our customers in China. Globally, every year we announce a lot of new services. And there's a core services, there's additional services on top of the core services. 98% of the core services that you can see in the global region is also available in China. And some of those services were also deployed over time, depends on the demanding, and sometimes they just take a little bit of time to deploy in China. So service level is, it's great. Because in the last Gartner report, we see that among the top 6 cloud service providers in China, we were ranked number 1 in terms of availability, capacity, and service level. In 2023 alone, AWS has launched 500 new features or the feature updates in China. That's only in China, also in China alone. So there's a lot of work. A couple of examples, like a Graviton. The day before yesterday, yeah, a bit jet lag. Yesterday, our CEO announced that we are going to have the Graviton 4 very soon, will be deployed. And by far, Graviton 3 is the most advanced ARM-based server, and it is also available in China. So with that, it can save up to 40% better price performance. And the Amazon Allura, which is our leading database technology, serverless database technology, is also available in China. So this is Graviton in China, 25% performance boost. This is Graviton 3 in China. And 50% more memory bandwidth and 60% energy efficiency. So this is Graviton. Talk about Gen AI, AI ML, which is the most important technology. There's a lot of efforts in there globally. So in China region, we have SageMaker Jumpstart available in China, which is very good for customers to enable their Gen AI related technologies. However, if you look at China, there's a difference in terms of specialty in terms of language, regulation, and some of the application environment. So we also work with the local large language model generator. and to make sure that some of the local large language model is also available on AWS, which is on AWS SageMaker Jumpstart. So on this slide, you will see that there's two local large language model. On the left-hand side is Lin Yi101, another one on the right-hand side is Baichuan Zhinen. Those are two local large language model. It uses local language and local data to train up, so it's much better to fit into the local usage cases. On the industry, we emphasize a lot on industry expertise because moving forward, we see more and more technologies will be adopted for the traditional industry. So this is what our focus and investment we have done in the past couple of years. Just like the global regions, we also organize our expertise by industry verticals. There's 9 major industries that we are focusing. From the left-hand side to the right-hand side, finance, life science, automotive, manufacturing, retail, gaming, energy, and also the software and services, last but not least, which is the entertainment and media. Those are the 9 major industry verticals that we build our expertise and enable our partners. Each industry, we have connection with the global AWS industry experts, and we also have the experts, domain experts on the ground in local. And our partners, such as Deloitte, also have the similar industry focus that we aligned and we complement to each other and support each other. Make sure that the customer get the best advisories and the best technology when they try to adopt the cloud technology or the Gen AI technology. So we have a lot of success and we have a lot of customers that we have won and we served by far. On this little screen, I can't put all those logos there, and I just put a few prestigious brands here as a proof of our success by some of the industries, like a Toyota, like a Honda, Audi, also like a Siemens, like Philips, Peet's Coffee, which is in the retail and hospitality space. Some of the Japanese companies like Daikin. A lot of software companies like SAP, Palo Alto Network, and also Canva. So those are the very successful business at a global level. When they get into China, they work with AWS. And we have quite a few big success, and some of those logos was also showed at our CEO's presentation. Some of those cases actually happened in China. So the third thing is the localization. As I mentioned, there's a very special operational environment that we have to comply with. So that's why we work with our partners. And also the language and the business operational environment. So we have to work with our partners to provide those services. So we cannot work alone because the China market is huge. Probably by single country is probably one of the largest consumption market of the cloud, in the future. So we work with a lot of partners. The partner network is huge. Globally, we have 130,000 partners at global. In China, we have a few thousand partners. Those partners is not only from China, local, grown partners, but also from the global. Like a Deloitte is from global, and they have a practice in China. Some of those ISVs, like SAP, like Canva, like Palo Alto Network, they have presence in China, and they work with us as a part of the China large partner network. So this is the logo that we have of our partners, some of the funds is just too small. Part of those partners are from global, and those in Chinese are from the local. So either you have a business in global region, and you have your partner in global, and most likely some of those partners has already been operated in China. So you don't have to develop, you don't have to work with additional new partners and train them up. You just work with them and do it in China. There will be seamless connections in there. And we also have the certification programs that make sure that all those partners can work with us seamlessly. We have the training and certification program working with the local partner and the global partners. Whatever we train in the US, it's equivalent in China and it can be certified in China. So this is just a small small section of part of the partners that we have. If you want to have the holistic list of the partners, we can share that afterwards. So hopefully, you feel comfortable when you come into China. You're not alone. You have the partners already there, and you can get support as you did in the other regions. Not only the partner. When you do the innovative projects or do the digital transformation, it's difficult, it's time-consuming, and also it needs a lot of expertise, deep expertise. So AWS in China, we also have the professional services team on the ground. So they have been working with a lot of customers, helping them to build up some of the foundations in China, such as, I just take a few examples, like when you start to land it in China, you try small and then expand. So the cloud foundation, there's a standard offering of a cloud foundation, and the professional service can work with you, quickly deploy the cloud foundation and make it a solid and expandable environment for your future migration of more workloads. And like the security, we have certified experts to provide advisories on how to build the security environment on cloud, and which is also compliant to the local environment and local government regulations. So there's a lot of services offering on these slides. I'm not going to go through all the details because of the time limits. So there's a lot of things that we can do together. The professional service is also work with our professional services team members outside of China. So if you want to move some of the solutions from existing environment from the global to China, you can also use that environment and together with the China professional team and also with our partners. Marketplace. China has, AWS in China has the marketplace that hosts more than 500 software and solutions in there. You can download, you can deploy and operate some of the solutions for your purpose, and those services is some of those were from global and some of those were developed in the local. So this is part of the global marketplace in China region. There's the QR code here. If you use this QR code, you can land it onto the China solution marketplace, and you will find those 500 listed solutions on the marketplace. Also, some marketplace solutions were from the 300 ISVs and other partners as well. So it's very rich, and also most of those solutions has already been deployed in some of the cases, and so it's a proven solutions. Last but not least, the trust words is the thing that we focus on. This is not only about the infrastructure. We have a very reliable and scalable and robust local infrastructure. But on top of that, the trust words also need us to ensure that whatever we provide, and also together with our partners, it is meet the customer's expectation and to improve the customer's satisfaction. That is our focus on the trust words. So if you look at the infrastructure, our infrastructure is very reliable in terms of its setup and its standards. As I just mentioned, each region has three availability zones. And all those availability zones are within 100 kilometers range. So all those availability zones connect with each other with high-speed connectivities. So the performance is high, but also the reliability is very high. Each availability zone also consists of multiple data centers. All those data centers are isolated and also operated independently, has the separate independent power supply and network connectivities, redundant network connectivities. So it's very safe and trustworthy. Security. China has a very unique environment, and the government has a slightly different security requirements and by its law, and we have to comply with. So other than those security certifications that we have at the global, and we also bring them into China, but we also work with the local industry to make sure that whatever our customer needs for compliance purpose, we have those certificates with the Chinese government. One example like the Sanji Denbao, which is I don't know how to call that in English. It's multi-layer protection and security. That's the local standard or the certifications that we have to get in order to make sure that our local infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, is safe and trustable. Other than that, some of the global certificates is also available. For example, like a PCI. If your customer, your business is dealing with the customers, the end user consumers who has the monetary transactions, you need to have a PCI certificate. And we do have that in China. Comprehensive security services, basically we need to have the identity access management, fraud detections, infrastructure security, data protection, and incidents response. So you need to have a lot of tools to make sure that you will have the instrument to manage that. We have all the tools there. So totally we have more than 300 cloud security tools available. And on this list, you can see that those security tools that highlighted in yellow are already existed and available in China regions. And those in white, it will be available, or it just take a little time to be landed there in China. So the comprehensive security, we cannot do it alone. And we provide the basic infrastructure that is reliable, secure, and scalable, high availability. And our partner will work with our customers to ensure the implementation and solutions deployed on top of the infrastructure will be also secure. So these are the partners that we have in China that has the security offerings, either by tools or by the consulting services or the hands-on deployment services that you can find in China. So some of those service partners are in Chinese. Those are the China local service partners, and some of those are in English that you can find in the global region. And if you want them, you connect the global region, and also you will find their counterparts in China, and you can work with them very closely. If you do have a problem to find those partners for the deployment, you contact AWS. AWS can connect those partners for you and make sure that whatever deployed is secure, because we have this concept of the shared responsibility. AWS makes sure that all the foundation, the infrastructure is secure, and you as a customer, you build the applications on top of those infrastructure to secure, and you need to have a partner, the tools and efforts, joint efforts. So with that, I want to summarize with my speech on the AWS, how AWS want to support the MNCs, multinational companies moving to China and expand their business in China. Either you have business in China, existing business in China, which has not been on cloud or on AWS cloud, we can help you. Or you've never been to China, but you do have a plan to expand your business in China, we can help you as well. So the global leadership, technology leadership, the industry expertise, localization, and trustworthiness are the key things that we are focusing on, and we want to help you to expand, to be successful in China. So with that, I want to introduce our partners from Deloitte to share with you what our partners is offering and can help with each and every one of you. And Mr. Zhu Hao, thank you very much. Please come here.
Thank you, George, actually. So it's my pleasure to present, today, how we can help the multinational company expand in China. So this is Zhu Hao. So I'm a partner from the Deloitte China Consulting Cloud Engineering Practice. So first, actually, Deloitte has a very comprehensive, the solution stack, actually, which across, the multiple area. So we can help the client in the strategic growth and ecosystem partnership, like partner with AWS. Then we can also help your geo-resilient, the investment and ownership. Then help you to your supply chain and rationalize your assets in the region. Then future-proof organization and the talent, how you get the talent in China, how you support your global organization. Then we also have how to make sure you do the international data transfer, which is in compliance with the China security regulations. Then technology innovation, performance improvement, Gen AI is one critical tool which helps a lot of our clients in China through the AWS as the foundation technology stack. So I know some of you never been to China, but a lot of global companies, from our lens, there's no global company can afford to overlook China because of China has a very strong economy, the fundamentals. Then the market demand is huge. There's a lot of potentials, in innovation. But operating in China, to do business in China, is getting more and more difficult for everyone. So because of the famous geopolitics, actually, especially between China and the US, and technology competition, and also the local competition, actually. But AWS and Deloitte can help you to how to operate in China. So as you may know or you not know, over the last couple of years, actually, China government introduced quite a few cybersecurity regulations, actually, from the 2017 cybersecurity law kicked in. Then 2021, we have the data security law. Then 2022, there's a cross-border data transfer assessment kicked in. So those regulations actually dictated you need to have the large volume personal data and the important sensitive data, they have to stay in China rather than out of China. It's actually made a lot of change, to multinational company, how they operate in China, actually. So there's a lot of common, the data transfer and the data localization challenge, actually. So you need to understand the regulatory requirement, globally or in particular country in China. Then when you do the data transfer, you want to make sure it's secured, safe. Then you have to understand, all your data source, where's your source data, how the data pass through your all different applications, actually. Then you want to implement the good, the operating model actually. Then the last not least is you need a data residency strategies, so which is different than the past. So a lot of global organizations in the past, we build the design and also roll out your application to around the world. But going forward, when you roll out some specific application to China, you have to think about, you have to assess, make sure whatever you roll out to China, where you store the data, which is in compliance with these data security laws. So there's some local consideration when you're expanding to the emerging market, to China. So as I said, you need to understand the regulatory requirement. So this is very important. Then you have to have, the tailored, the bespoke, the operation strategy for particular China market actually. Then brand and the governance. Then you need the local team to support actually. So my understanding, a lot of global organizations, you probably leverage, offshore center to support your global application, like especially the India workforce to support your global application. But if you have the application which is supporting China, which has a large volume of the personal data or important sensitive data, that model will not work. You need a local people inside, stay in China to support those applications. Because as long as you access those information remotely, that will be deemed as a data cross-border transfer. So this is actually impacting a lot of companies, the IT operating model actually. So you need a local team with the right skill set to support that. So cross-border data transfer actually, it is important to make sure you have your data sovereignty, then the data is staying in China, and sorry. So when you have the data in China, then some of the data analytics you have to carry in China. But when you pass information to global, some of the data has to be cleansed. You may only be able to pass the anonymized, the insights rather than, the very transparent stuff. But we can help you, to that extent actually. So in terms of how we help the multinational company, basically we have an approach called AIO. So we can provide advisory, which is to assess your enterprise application. Then we can help you to implement, all the technology stack. Then last not least, we can also provide a managed service actually. All this AIO can be enabled by AWS technology stack. So how we can work together? So the Deloitte can help you, on the advisory, can help you on the implementation. We can help you on the managed service. Then we leverage AWS, the technology stack, the PaaS service, the IaaS service. Then we can help you, to make your, the operation in China, the better and more efficient. So anything, any challenges, and we already, know that, then we know how to overcome that. So together, AWS and Deloitte, we can help you in China. With that, I'm going to, hand over to Daiwen to talk about next session.
Welcome everybody, and thanks George and Hao for the introduction about the overview and also the methodologies how you enter China. And next, I will show you some best practices summarized from our customers existing in the China regions, the Ningxia and Beijing regions, to let you know how to build up the tech foundations for your business expansion in mainland China. I'm Wen. I'm the general manager of the solutions architecture team. So first of all, regarding the technical foundations for the multinational companies in China, we need to focus on 3 parts. The first, we need to have the consistent technologies in mainland China regions and also the global regions. Second, I use the word global. It is highly recommended to do the global innovation, which means to keep the global consistency while you have the local innovations with your local teams. Thirdly, the security is always an important one. So I will show you some security best practices. Regarding the consistent technologies, the products, of course, we need to have a review of all our portfolios in Ningxia and the Beijing region. So from the chart, you can see that the overall number of the available services and features are increasing in the past years. I want to highlight that all core services are available, and meanwhile, there are more and more advanced services available, such as the Graviton 3 instances are available, the serverless features for the analytics services are available, and the state-of-the-art network firewall is also available now in Ningxia and the Beijing region. And you can see every month we have the new features and services are launched. And this is a highlighted page. If you want to review more, you can go to the website to learn the details. And besides the technologies, products provided by AWS, it is also important that we help the global ISV landing their workloads in China to serve all the multinational enterprises to operate in China. You can see there are infrastructure services like the Cisco that can provide the routers and firewalls, and also Palo Alto that can provide the security solutions and products. Besides, you can also see that there are the advanced data services provided by SAP. Now there's SAP Rise in Ningxia and the Beijing region. And there are also vertical services like the Viva, which can provide their services to the healthcare customers. So we are looking forward to maximize the efforts to help the global ISVs landing their portfolios in China so that you can have seamless experience when you're deploying your workloads. And then, with the AWS products and the partners products, of course, if there's no global ISV offerings in China, there are also alternatives provided by the local partners, and George covered that part, and we can follow up with that part if you do have the requirements offline. And then regarding the development pipeline, as Hao mentioned in his slides, here's a reference example that is summarized from a real customer case, actually a series of real customer cases. You can see that in the left hand, we use the GitLab as a code repo for all the code commits and also all the code management. And then we build up the pipeline, the CI/CD pipeline in the global regions. Meanwhile, in the lower part of this slide, you can see that there's an additional pipeline in China so that you can do the localized test since the unit test stage, and then do the deployment and monitoring in the China regions in parallel with the ones in the global regions, so that you can have a multiple partition of the workloads. Actually, this pattern can also be extended to the other regions if you want to operate in a region or in an area that has a similar regulatory requirements. And if you want to provide a better experience to the development team. And besides that, after you set up the pipeline, it is important to replicate the data. Of course, we need to comply to the compliance regulatories that is required by the government. As Hao mentioned, Deloitte can provide consulting services to our customers. Meanwhile, we provide the solutions and also the toolings to get it done. All of these 3 data replication solutions are open sourced. So because the mainland China, the Ningxia and the Beijing region are separated from the global consoles, so you cannot do the S3 replication or the data replication across the border. We build these solutions to help you sync the data across S3, sync the images across the container repositories, and sync the data bidirectionally across DynamoDB. So that is the part for the consistent technology and a consistent experience for your team in your headquarters and also in your China branches, China offices. Second, I want to talk about the global innovation. First of all, just like the pipeline design, you need to set up a data architecture across the border. And this is also architecture we summarized from real cases. You can see there are providers and there are consumers of the data. And we leverage the data mesh architecture to build up your lake in China and also the lake in your headquarters, so that you will have the globally centralized governance and unified user experiences for the data access and management. Well, you can still assign the proper provider and consumer rules to each site. And make sure that you have compliant data usage when you do a cross-border transfer and sync. And then, with a fully compliant data stored and transferred to your China parts, China partition, you can build up the machine learning models with a SageMaker in Beijing and the Ningxia region. This is very important because besides selecting the foundational models, it is important that you build up all the engineering platform for your models and also the data pipelines to give proper data supply to train the models. Here is an example from Siemens regarding the global innovation, which means they have the global initiative to adopt GenAI in their daily work. Well, they do the local innovation to build up their local smart assistant for their daily work. This project is called Xiaoyu, intelligent chatbot. Actually, the data is located in the Ningxia and the Beijing region, and they also set up all the machine learning pipeline on the SageMaker, and also they selected the the model providers in mainland China to achieve the GenAI features, so that it can have a look and feel as a right-hand side shows, while they are fully deployed this machine learning and GenAI backend in China regions. Last but not least, let's talk about the security. First of all, we still need to secure the environments. In the previous years, I always go through all the details, but now I think most of the customers know the security baselines well, so I just go through them quite quickly as the categories. First of all, the account and access are critical. The Ningxia and Beijing region are separated from the global regions. So the AWS organizations are also separated. And all the users are IAM users. There's no root users in Ningxia and the Beijing region. So make sure you apply for the account and you create proper policies for the access for your users. And second, the network protection. You can achieve the web application firewall with AWS services and also the partner offerings. Regarding encryption, it is highly recommended that you encrypt everything as you can. You can also review all the security status with a security hub and track all the actions with CloudTrail, and also leverage GuardDuty to enhance the security. What's more, the last line of the third category is the centralized logging solution. It is an open-sourced solution developed by the AWS China team to help you to collect logs and provide a very easy, it has the easy of use to collect the log and do the analysis. Fourth, about the monitoring and audit, there's KMS, but if you really want to have a hardware security module, there are partner solutions. And after we secure the basic environments, it is important to pay attention to the data privacy and the security. Professional services provided a solution called Data Custom for you to identify the sensitive information in your data sets and apply proper policy when you transfer the data across the border. It has the three parts, which are data processors, data custom solution, and data recipients. So it has a look and feel like this. And we can work together with Deloitte to do all the consulting on the implementation. And secondly, professional service team also provided a solution for the MLPS, as George mentioned. For some specific workloads in mainland China, this certification, a multi-level protection scheme, is required. Professional service team can help you do all the process, from the Cloud Foundation deployment to application onboarding to the self-assessment and to the final step of the fitting and certification to help you submit to the proper organization for the certification, for the audit. And after that, you will have your platform, MLPS, ready. So that is the overall parts from, that is all for my parts. And I just want to show you that there are existing practices in the technical domain, and we have the products, solutions, toolings, and also workarounds for you to fully comply to the regulations and also fully operate your workloads in China smoothly. And last, I want to invite George back to the stage to give the final wordings. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Devin, for your presentation, and also thanks to our partner, Zhu Hao, who represented Deloitte to share their services here. Within this 60 minutes, all we can show is very limited basic information. There's a lot of information that we can provide, and this is just, we just scratched the surface of all the depths and the broadness of what we have in China. So I encourage you to scan this QR code, which will lead you to some of the hyperlinks and wiki pages that you can find a lot more information. Again, I want to thank everybody for your time here to listen to us. China is a big market for its broad, population and broad capacity, broadness and the capacity of the manufacturing capacity, and also the innovation spirit of the Chinese people. The huge opportunities there. I hope that more and more customers are coming to China and use AWS services, and we strongly committed to help you to transform your business and enable your business with new technologies such as AI and Gen AI. So with that, I want to conclude this session, and thank you very much for your time, and enjoy your rest of the re:Invent. Thank you.